Charlotte Clarke was by far the most annoying and disappointing character of Revenge. She had so much potential as Amanda Clarke's half-sister. Yet the writers never used her full potential for the story. Amanda revealed herself only when it was almost too late. And like Daniel, Charlotte always had to run back to her parents when she had no one else left, so her development and growing process was very limited. But let's start with her backstory. Because she is the youngest of the main cast, we can keep it short. Like her brother Daniel, Charlotte is born rich. She never had to face any trauma or obstacle in her life until she became a teenager. Like any little girl, she is a princess to her father Conrad, who cannot say no to her. If their parents are playing good and bad cop with her, it is Victoria's role to be the bad cop. Her relationship with her daughter has become tense. It gets worse when Conrad is outing Charlotte as David Clarke's daughter.
She's right, Charlotte doesn't deserve to be in the middle of this.
No, she doesn't deserve to be in the middle of it, but she's right in the center of it. And she has your mother to thank for that. And it's time you know the truth. David Clarke isn't just Amanda's father, he's your biological father as well.
No, he's not.
From now on, Charlotte is questioning her parents and her whole life. It ends with a stereotyped storyline of drug abuse and suicide attempts.
I guess we can add Teen Pill Popper to the Grayson Book of Shame.
This is no laughing matter, Charlotte.
Do you see me laughing?
I see you in pain. How can I help you if you don't let me?
I tried to let you, Mom. You weren't interested.
Whatever answers you're looking for, you are not going to find them in a bottle of pills. Is this why you started taking drugs?
I don't know, Mom. I'm failing calculus. You do the math.
Which brings us to her most annoying character traits. It must have been difficult for Christa B. Allen to portray Charlotte, 'cause the writers give her quite a contradicting background. She is spoiled yet seems not to have a problem with Declan being poor.
You know I can't compete with all this, right?
Oh, what?
This, your life. I have no money.
I'm rich, you're not. Who cares?
As his boyfriend, he cannot compete with any of her former friends like her last and later dealer. She is very needy of a person she can trust, yet she rejects almost everyone who tries to help her. She is smart but acts very stupid throughout the whole show. And she does not get that Emily was behind everything bad that happened to her family. Only when Emily reveals herself to Charlotte she gets that it was Emily's plan all along to destroy her family. She is strong-willed and stubborn, yet she cannot cope with her problems, either running away or trying to commit suicide, which is a form of escape as well. Despite everything she has been through, she still is very trusting and naive, but also very secretive concerning her real emotions and thoughts. Would have been interesting if the writers had challenged her more so they could have explored the depths of her despair, instead of only showing us the result with her trying to end the pain. I know the focus is Emily and her loved ones, but as her half-sister, should Charlotte not be one of the most important people in her life? Even Amanda and Nolan, who are chosen friends, are more important to her than Charlotte. I think that is the whole problem with Charlotte. The writers had no big interest in her, and so did Emily. At some point it would have been better to kill her off and make the loss sting. Then this half-hearted tries to make her more interesting. In season 1 she worked as this young troubled girl, who cannot withstand her horrible family.
You're right. She said she wished I'd never been born, which is worse. I always knew Daniel was her favorite.
I mean, in season 1 besides Declan she has no one taking care of her. Conrad and Victoria are too busy fighting each other.
I like that you're taking your counseling seriously.
I like that you've taken control of this problem, and I need you to promise me that you'll stay on this track. Victoria, I really appreciate how much you have challenged me at every turn throughout the course of our spectacular failure of a marriage. And as for what I need from you, well, by gosh, all I really need is for you to come to your anemic senses and return everything you just stole from me.
But I need you to know that others have been betraying you as well, even while warming your bed.
This is hopeless. Nothing in this house is ever gonna change. The only way out of it is to leave.
Bravo, Conrad. That display of yours should go miles towards helping Charlotte's recovery.
And Daniel is obviously Victoria's first priority. After and before the problems with Tyler, her brother is more occupied by his girlfriend Emily, so he does not even notice Charlotte's issues. And Emily has with her revenge ender so much on her plate that she cannot take care of Charlotte.
Charlotte's the only family I have, which is why I appreciate taking her in, caring for her. All the things that I wish I could do that I can't. Not right now, not the way I want to.
But at least in season 2, they had to find a far better storyline and purpose for Charlotte than just being the victim of her mother. Her goal to get to know more about her father and her half-sister was best addressed with her friendship to Amanda. But they only used it as plot device to help Emily get more information out of Victoria over her mother. Instead of this stupid plot, they could have shown us some bonding moments between Charlotte and Amanda. I mean, Charlotte was obviously excited becoming an aunt, and as we saw in the scene with Emily bringing the two together, it had much heartbreaking potential for Emily, who lost again the opportunity to form a relationship with her half-sister. Instead of giving Emily the opportunity to reveal herself and make Charlotte and Jack suffer less, Emily kept her secret and seems to totally forget about Charlotte. She was that much furious and cared about her after she had to identify the body.
Charlotte made the ID.
Is she alright?
No, she's not. And what's worse is Victoria is using Amanda's death to get close to Charlotte again.
Yet we only get one little scene in which she asks Charlotte to be her bridesmaid and come with her and Daniel to Paris.
Keep wishing Amanda were here. She'd know what I was going through. It's a sister thing.
Yeah. Like, I know you miss her. She can never be replaced. But we're gonna be sisters soon, too. And I'm hoping that you'll be more part of my life. I was wondering if you would be my maid of honor. That is, if you'll leave this room long enough to come to Paris.
Oh my God, Emily, of course.
Like Victoria later, Emily only uses Charlotte to hurt her.
Same with Charlotte. She seems enchanted with the idea of Paris. Maybe she'll even want to raise her baby there.
And now you presume to know what's best for Charlotte as well.
Victoria, I don't make decisions for your children.
And when she does not serve her agenda, totally forgets about her.
I'm worried about her.
Well, so am I, but what can I do? You're the source of most of her pain, unless you're here to give me permission to tell her the truth.
I can't do that, Jack.
You really refuse to accept responsibility, don't you? She's your sister.
But the most bad storyline was her teenage pregnancy. Again, a redundant story arc because they did that already with Victoria. And what is even worse, that this storyline leads to nothing. The big conflict between the Grayson and Porter family is some kind solved with, spoiler alert, Declan's death.
Do you have any idea how guilty I feel over his death? From the moment it happened, I blamed myself. It made me sick, and I know that's why I miscarried.
And before we can even think about how Charlotte could cope with being a teenage mom, we get to know that she lost the baby. I mean, why did they even come up with this storyline when they wanted to kill the baby father and the baby? Surely they could have gone all in for this, making it a defining moment in Charlotte's young life. Like Amanda, who turned her life around after the pregnancy, Charlotte could have found the strength to face her parents. Conrad did not even have the time to react to his daughter's pregnancy. Season 3 and 4 were an improvement because Charlotte had less romantic entanglements, and they gave her at least some goals and sort of conflicts. Great was the overall arc, her breaking with her father Conrad. She finally sees him for what he is and not only blaming her mother.
I am not your girl. Despite all the horrible things I heard about Flight 197 and what you did to my actual father, I hoped it wasn't true, that you couldn't be that evil. I'm done helping you. You deserve to die, miserable and alone. If you don't have the guts to admit what you did to my real father, I'll tell the police. You disgust me.
In Season 3, Charlotte is not only grown up. She is facing her conflicts instead of running away from them. Maybe a side effect from her therapy in the previous seasons. The only thing I disliked was her fighting with Emily. Yet again, like with Daniel, it is all Emily's fault. 'Cause she cannot be honest with both. Like Daniel, Charlotte finally begins to see how fake Emily truly is. Aligned with her mother, Charlotte takes the wrong conclusions.
You really are becoming a Grayson, aren't you? My mom was right, wasn't she? This is all you ever wanted? This lifestyle, this house?
I wish you'd give me a chance to explain.
Why would I give you anything, Emily? When you want something, you just take it.
She thinks Emily is just after the Graysons' money and social status, and does not want to marry Daniel out of love but out of more ulterior motives. So she assumes Daniel would be better off without Emily, and plays Cupid by reuniting Daniel and his ex-girlfriend Sarah. She is a bit like Emma from the Bronte novel. She is meddling into things and relationships without proper knowledge of the persons involved. She even sets Jack and Margot up, who are really no great match. Kudos to her. At least with Daniel and Sarah, she understands that forcing them to be together only hurts their feelings.
Everything was good with Emily, really good. We were finally getting married, and then...
Sarah.
I mean, I love Emily, but the way I feel when I'm with Sarah makes me question everything.
So right before Emily seemingly will leave her forever behind, the two get closer again.
I love you.
I love you too. My almost sister.
Just to add more fuel to the bad writing, instead of finally revealing who Emily really is, Charlotte just lets it go when Emily tells her that David Clarke was her father.
My father.
You remember him? What's his name? Tell me.
David. His name is David Clarke.
How could Jack make her let it go that easily? Anyway, it was hard to stomach that she was just another pawn in Emily's game after she reassumed her vendetta against the Graysons.
This is worse than I thought. But what I need is reassurance that what we are doing is not completely messed up.
With Pascal dead, Charlotte's all I have left. She's the only person that Victoria and Conrad would do anything for.
Abducted Charlotte to get the Graysons to confess? No one in their right mind would think you guys are up to something this sick.
You need to leave.
What about Charlotte?
She can finally live in truth.
You will never have a relationship with your sister after this. Do you understand that? She's having a panic attack.
Well, it'll pass. I had them all the time when I was a kid.
Slow things down.
What are you talking about? You're the one who said that we can't do things halfway.
We can't allow her to suffer.
Where were you two heroes when I was 9 years old, being dragged out of my house by men with guns, thrown into the foster care system? Charlotte has always been protected, and she will be fine now.
I think season 4 was maybe Charlotte's best season according to conflicts, and her downward spiral got really worse. Hard to say that her suicide attempt at the beginning was just redundant and a very low move. But I like what Emily's confession sets in motion. Mostly because Charlotte has no one left to turn to. Her father is dead, her mother disappeared, and her brother is sick of her problems.
Daniel, things have been really hard lately.
No. Do you have any idea what I went through to get that money?
I can't help you right now.
Daniel, wait!
She takes actions into her own hands. It maybe was the most stupid and resentful idea she could come up with. But she tried actually to kill her sister.
Goodbye, sis.
Are you alright? Is anyone else in there?
No, it's empty.
Another big mistake was turning again to her mother when she was back. Even for Charlotte, it must have been now an obvious pattern that Victoria only turns to her daughter when she can use her for her own goals. In season 1, Charlotte even calls her out on this on several occasions. So in fact, Charlotte's story is the one of a troubled young drug addict who is always falling back into old habits and destructive patterns. Like partying and taking drugs to forget her problems.
I don't want to think anything. I don't want to feel anything.
And when they are too big to forget them, she tries literally to escape into death. Good for her and us, the audience, that when she reached her breaking point, she left the show to go on rehab again.
I just wanted to say goodbye. I'm taking control of my own life. I'm checking myself into rehab. I'm sick of being caught between you and Emily and your cycle of hate. I want out.
Unlike Amanda, Charlotte broke the vicious cycle by her own. What makes her even stronger than Emily? But she also had to, cause no one around her was lending a helping hand. Which brings us to the people who actually should have helped her. And Charlotte would have had a lot who just did not give a damn. Her parents, Conrad and Victoria, did almost everything to destroy her character. First, they spoiled her. An obvious problem for rich parents who cannot say no and probably want to compensate for the lack of commitment and time they spent raising their children with expansive gifts. The most prominent example was the car Conrad gifted to Victoria. And she just gives it to Charlotte. Far worse is their influence on their daughter during their divorce. Both use Charlotte as some kind of bargain and pawn in their divorce negotiations.
Must you drag Charlotte into all this?
Rejected. And whatever happens to Charlotte will be on your hands.
And Charlotte has to cope with the pressure both parents turn on her. In later seasons, we see also misuse on a psychological level. Edward Grayson, her grandfather, makes the first approach by keeping her from talking with a professional about her problems.
I understand how popular it is these days to kick back on a doctor's couch and purge your problems. But truth be known, more often than not, they cause more harm than good.
What about Declan's future?
Now, I'm willing to make a call on the young man's behalf, but every quid deserves a quo.
Then Conrad is keeping her in a clinic to get her inheritance.
Your sister is a very sick girl. What's sickening is how far you and my father went to pull this scam. And it turns out Dad was keeping you in here in order to get his hands on your inheritance.
I knew it.
And Victoria is constantly pushing her away and using her like she pleases during her vendetta with Emily. Her brother Daniel is no better help.
I'm not going anywhere with you.
What?
Isn't it convenient you come in here acting like the hero, but only after Dad stole everything? I swore at Mom's memorial I was clean, and you did nothing to stop them.
Besides the pilot in which we saw them very close, he seems to have not that much interest in his sister. He is not hostile or jealous because she is their father's favorite. Daniel just does not care that much about her. Maybe a side effect of getting to know she is David Clarke's daughter. I guess it is just a plot hole again. Far worse is his tendency to use her in his vendetta against Emily and her friends in season 3. He tries to manipulate Margot with her help to get at Jack. Unconsciously, she is the one who sealed her boyfriend Javier's fate when she brings him to Daniel and Margot. Daniel just wants to hurt Emily's friend Nolan with this.
You may have infected Margot and this one, but I won't let you do the same to Javier.
And Javier is the one who stands in the rain afterwards. Nonetheless, he helps his sister in season 4 and even sells his car for her. So they keep close and both try to separate themselves from their parents. Obviously the reason why Charlotte was not at his brother's funeral. She did not want to walk into Victoria. Though it is strange that David or Emily did not call her. At least to ask her if she was okay. Again a plot hole. Which brings us to her biological father David Clarke and her sister Amanda. Besides that little research that lasted only 1 or 2 episodes, Charlotte seems not that much interested in her dead father. She seems to believe the lies the Graysons told about him like anybody else and little Amanda. In season 2 she becomes friends with Fomanda and eventually begins to question the public opinion about David Clarke.
I only have one wish this year. My only wish is that you support my first adult decision. I'm changing my name. You can now call me Charlotte Clarke.
But since Charlotte's storyline evolves around Declan in season 2, we do not get that much scenes with her and Fomanda or Emily. After Fomanda's death she seems obsessing a little bit about her half-sister. As if her relatives are more interesting when they are dead. She gets to know Amanda's foster brother and keeps asking him out. But they never quite used this connection. With Emily Thorne, Charlotte mirrors Daniel's on-off relationship. In season 1, before she knew Amanda was her half-sister, she is thrilled to become a sister with Emily.
Did Daniel propose?
Is that okay?
You have no idea how badly I've always wanted a sister.
In season 2, when Daniel and Emily date again, it seems more Fomanda who is keeping Charlotte and Emily together. Yet Emily seems not that much interested in having a strong relationship with her sister. A real big failure of the show in my opinion. The opportunities to discover this relationship could have been endless. But Emily just does not care that much about Charlotte. In season 1 she detects Charlotte's abuse of pills. Instead of addressing it to her parents or Daniel, she just ignores it. I am still torn if she just does not care because of her lack of empathy and her narcissist character in season 1. Or if she is just too busy with her revenge agenda to care. In the famous TV interview in season 4, Emily accepts her failures regarding to Charlotte when she talks about everyone including her have driven Charlotte into her downward spiral.
My half-sister Charlotte, driven to a downward spiral by all of us.
The biggest issue for Emily's and Charlotte's relationship is season 3. First using her brother for her revenge agenda and making him believe she was pregnant with his child. After her miscarriage, it is no surprise that this hits home for Charlotte. Then her last attempt to make Conrad confess by abducting Charlotte. Okay, this did the trick and Emily was right that Conrad would have done anything for Charlotte. So she was the only one who could get a confession out of him. Yet anyone could have confronted him in front of a hidden camera. Even Jack or Aiden. So why making Charlotte hurt that way? And it is not just her relationship with Charlotte she destroys.
And how's that feel, Jack? That fear, that knot in your stomach? Protect and serve, right? That's not what you did for me when you tied me up in that room.
There is season 4 and Charlotte's little vendetta against Emily. I really do not know what to think about her actions here. I get that she feels betrayed and she has every right to. What I do not get is why Emily is not trying harder to make it right.
Or care. That's not true, Charlotte. Then where were you before now? I've been trying. I'll try harder.
Why is she not reaching out to Charlotte after Fomanda's death? Unlike Jack, who she wanted to tell the truth, she never said something similar about Charlotte. Was she afraid she could tell her parents about it? And I cannot understand why the writers did not turn either one of them, Charlotte or Daniel, into Emily's ally. This would have been a cool turning point in any season. In the first 2 seasons, her most important relationship was the one with Declan. And they really used every cliches for these two. First, the very basic rich girl meets poor boy stereotype. Then they had the issue that Declan might get a more suitable girlfriend after their breakup. Until they finally hit bottom in season 2 with the lesbian girl who tries to interfere their relationship and Charlotte getting pregnant.
Declan, what are you doing here?
You wouldn't answer your phone. I figured you'd be here.
Stop her.
Just...
Wait, she sees you, she pukes. You don't need him to raise the baby. We could do it together.
Because she's in love with you or obsessed. But you know what? I don't even know why I'm talking about that. Your mother told me about the baby. You know what? I think it's great.
I can see why Paolo wanted out of this show after 2 seasons. They had really the most bad storyline of all pairings in Revenge. But that left Charlotte somewhat aimlessly in season 3. 'Cause besides that little affair with Javier, she had no real boyfriend and no real career. Yet in season 4 it gets worse with Gideon, the bad brother of Margot LaMarchal, and her taking drugs again. Charlotte is now excluded from almost everyone who ever cared for her. Her family is decimated and cannot stand her drug issues anymore.
You polished off an old prescription of my Xanax and then had it refilled. Why are you going down this ugly road again? And your reaction is to hide behind a haze of pills. But do not give in to the darkness. That will destroy you.
Emily seems not to care and in Charlotte's eyes has become an enemy. And the only one she could trust, Declan's brother Jack, has become a threat, too. After she knows that he helped with her abduction. After Declan's death in season 3, Jack was maybe her most important reference figure and something like an anchor. He felt responsible for her twice. First because she was his brother's girlfriend and lost his nephew. And second, after knowing that Emily is Amanda and her sister, he feels the need to look after her. Like Nolan feels the need to keep an eye on Amanda for David. This already brought Jack in an impossible situation because he cannot tell her the truth. After her abduction it gets worse. Because Aidan and Emily made him an accomplice by freeing Charlotte. And she is furious about that betrayal. I must admit I hated her stalking and psychopathic behavior towards Jack at the beginning of season 4.
I told you again and again, it wasn't me.
Then look me in the eye and say it. After all this time, you still can't, can you, Jack?
Charlotte, you're just gonna have to let this go.
It seems like she is losing all grip and holds nothing back. Very much like Fomanda in season 1. Jack has a hard time using what is left of his influence to talk some sense into her.
You're a coward, Jack. A joke.
You know, I came here thinking you were just some kid pretending to be her mother. You're not Victoria. You're worse. You're Conrad. You're doing exactly what he did. You were torturing David. And for what? Some pathetic power trip over me? He's your father, Charlotte. No wonder you have to hide behind all that crap. How else could you live with yourself?
As Emily, he sees that Charlotte has to reach bottom before she can be saved.
You know, for a while now I've given you the benefit of the doubt. But you're too old for excuses, Charlotte. It's time you own your bad choices. That could easily have been you lying there. You only called me because you wanted someone to come and save you. But I can't do that. You've hit rock bottom. Only you can pull yourself out.
Therefore everyone seems just to await her fall. So season 4 is definitely my favorite for Charlotte. And not because she is only in the first half in it. Her downfall and finally standing up to Victoria, Emily and Jack, who wronged her in every possible way, was a fine turnaround for her character. Though it was good to see that she came around with Emily and Jack as guest on their wedding and Emily's maid of honor. Hopefully for the last time.
Ready to go? It's my job to keep you on schedule today. I appreciate it.
In season 3, the final episodes with her abduction and getting that confession from Conrad was obviously her best episode. She really found the right tone between anger and rage and total intimidation, fear and horror during Conrad's outburst.
The naive deserve 2 things. Swindling and scorn. That's what you always say, isn't it? How much do you hate me then? Because I've been pretty damn naive until now. You're to blame for Flight 197. You even silenced Amanda. You were behind all of it. You disgust me. You have no power over me.
No, I have the power to take you out anytime I want!
Her playing Cupid for Jack and Margot and later for Daniel and Sarah was fun to watch, but maybe not the best coupling.
I've always thought you two belonged together. Maybe Daniel just needs a little push.
Oh, trust me, it's too late. He's already made up his mind.
You let me be the judge of that.
Conrad's nightmare about Charlotte killing him was also fun but very see-through exercise.
This is for my father.
The only thing standing out for Charlotte are the few sister-bounding moments with Emily. In season 3 before her wedding with Daniel.
Charlotte, you look beautiful. Me? I love you. I love you too, my almost sister. And I promise to be a much better aunt than maid of honor. I just feel like I haven't been very helpful to you or Daniel. But I want you to know that I have your back. And if you'll let me, your hands and feet. Ladies? What is this? It's the day before your wedding. You deserve to be pampered.
Thank you, Charlotte. I love it.
Hey, we're sisters. It's the least I can do.
In season 2 when Emily brought her and Fomanda together. And in season 1 their talk on the Hollywood swing about David Clarke.
Jack and Amanda came over one day and they told me that your father built this swing. Couldn't have been all bad.
In contrast to season 3, I love her pure and loving relationship with Conrad in season 1. She was maybe the only one Conrad cared about.
Hey, Charlie. You're a welcome sight. You know that laugh of yours? is probably my most favorite sound in the whole wide world.
As long as I have you, there's nothing I can't handle.
Her love story with Declan was maybe the most defining storyline in season 1 and 2. Though it was nothing more than a stereotyped teen romance, rich girl meeting poor guy and falling for his humor and big heart. Yet Charlotte was less annoying and most sympathetic when she was with Declan.
You invited me tonight just to piss off your mother.
Part of me did, yeah. But the only reason tonight was bearable was because you were sitting next to me. You're just gonna have to accept that I like you. You're funny, and you're cute, and you voice your opinion.
So his loss teared a big hole into Charlotte's plotline. Neither her boyfriends Javier or bad boy Gideon nor her friends Jack and Emily could fill that hole. So what do you think of Charlotte Clarke? Was she the most annoying character on Revenge, or did you like her? What do you think about her going after Emily in season 4? And do you think the sisters will get along in the future? What could be Charlotte's profession?
And I'll be seeing him a lot more in the fall.
I heard. NYU. Very impressive. What are you studying?
Pre-law. I want to work for the Innocence Project someday.
Do you think she would succeed at law school, or is it just wishful thinking of the writers? Let me know in the comments.